wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could fucking jump to and join. And here I am.
Jim Carrey, without a doubt, one of the most iconic comedians of our lifetime. Once upon a time, he was a cartoon character in human form. Like any other comedian, his face stretched beyond human limits. He was able to move his body like he had no bones.
I realized that that's like special flavors, I guess. And then
But after his recent appearance, we had to question whether his face was real.
and I was like,
Jim Carrey has had a legendary career, from The Mask to his breakout role in Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber, and not to forget The Grinch. The reason I'm speaking in past tense is because there came a point in his life ended.
Jim Carrey is a great character, and I was lucky to get the part. But I don't think of that as me anymore.
After reaching the top of the mountain, he was reminded of a facade, started playing in one series movie. And suddenly, Jim Carrey stopped joking.
I don't exist. They're all characters that I play.
The smile faded, and over the years, he has quietly been planning his exit.
We don't matter. We don't matter.
Hollywood didn't quite know what to do with him anymore. Neither did audiences. He kept laughing when he was trying to be taken seriously. Honestly, to this day, it's still hard to figure this man out. So today, we're unpacking the king of comedy to show how one man comes from Hollywood and then decided to disappear from the spotlight. In order to do so, we have to understand more about the man behind the mask. The mask that has become Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey did not exactly have the glamorous Hollywood fortune to him. He was just a kid from Ontario, Canada, who lived out of the myfaction. In 1962, he grew up in a family that struggled financially for much of his childhood. When his dad lost his job, Jim and his family had to live in a car while working at Jack's factory.
My father was not only the funniest man, but he was
Carrey's comedy was one of pure excess. His pitches were loud and chaotic. It was very different from comedy at the time. And it's this form of comedy that would launch his career to new heights. So when Jim Carrey found out that the audience loved it, he took that style and ran with it. What followed was probably one of the most biggest streaks any actor has ever had, because in 1994, Jim Carrey's career exploded.
okay.
He released 3 comedy movies in a single year: Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. And all 3 became massive hits. Almost overnight, Jim Carrey became a household name, and the highest paid actor in Hollywood.
I used to go up to Mulholland Drive and I used to say, I had this, and this. Oh, bro, here we go. I wrote myself a check for $10 million per picture, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995. And I put it in my wallet, and I kept it there, and it deteriorated. Just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to get $10 million.
First, in Ace Ventura, that's the detective. What I think you gotta understand with this movie is that critics absolutely hated it. It's a detective movie where Jim Carrey talks with animals, makes weird ass sounds, solves crimes, or even actually lunatic. In short, the movie was a mess, and unlike anything anyone ever seen. But audiences absolutely loved it.
Before Ace came out, I was in Chicago doing a live here. My manager sat me down at a restaurant in Chicago, and he said he got kind of bad. They had the words page, and I just looked and it said, the worst movie ever made, the worst actor ever made. This was the end. I mean, I've been disappointed so many times in my career. I have an automatic downshift. I go, okay. What happened, to my absolute delight, was that by the time I had done Truman Show, Cisco and Ebert did an entire episode just about me and called it Jim Carrey's Final Class. And I get emotional. It was incredible. Like they just said we were wrong. And I've never seen a critic say that. Both of them said we were wrong. We didn't know what this means.
That came the movie that characterized Jim Carrey, The Mask, a role that literally only Jim Carrey could pull off. This movie is partly responsible for the absolute brain rot I suffer from today. It's incredible how something so goofy can be so hilarious and frightening at the same time. At least for 6-year-old me, growing up watching what I consider to be childhood
get an orange story. I always think of myself as a kind of painting, an abstract painting.
Okay. Jim Carrey looks like a human movie to his character, powered by pure caffeine. The 90s slapstick humor and effects were pretty archaic, but it's a hell of a ride with a lot of improvised iconic lines. After the movie, Jim Carrey wasn't able to leave the spotlight anymore. Quite literally, no one cared who he was until he put on the mask.
Inicio de septiembre. Dígame.
During the 90s, no one in Hollywood could compete with Jim Carrey's ridiculous energy, turning him into the biggest comedy star on the planet. But that is also when things started to change. By the mid-1990s, Jim Carrey had become one of the most valuable actors in Hollywood. So valuable that when he starred in The Cable Guy in 1996, he became the first actor in history to earn $20 million for a comedy film. At the time, those numbers shocked Hollywood. Comedians weren't supposed to earn that kind of money. Other actors could, but comedians, well, forget about it. Yet Jim Carrey had proven that comedy could sell just as much tickets as action movies. But his success also came with a big challenge. The problem with being the funniest guy in the room is that people stopped taking you seriously. More importantly, people stopped seeing you. They only see the performance.
There was a voice telling me that if I actually didn't score, if I didn't hit a funny line every at least 30 seconds, they would think I was pompous, and they would turn against me and say, "What do you want?"
Jim Carrey felt like he wasn't allowed to be quiet, or sad, or thoughtful. People just wanted to see the jokes, and so it became very difficult to show them anything else.
Are you allowed to do that? You presented yourself one way. It was a tough thing to convince people that there's something wrong, or that they might want to see something different.
Yet in 1998, Jim Carrey surprised everyone. Instead of another chaotic comedy, he was about to prove that he could do much more than just make people laugh. That's when he starred in The Truman Show, a movie about a man who lives a happy and quiet life until he finds out his entire life is a lie, and is secretly broadcast as a television show. This movie showed a completely different side to Jim Carrey. The story is very anti-authoritarian, something that deeply resonated with Jim. But like Truman is also watched, controlled, and monetized as an actor. The Truman Show was very evident at the time, because eventually we all have become a bit like Truman.
The Truman Show is something that exists on a micro level now. Everybody has his private show, and everybody has their own little Truman Show world, so some people do that.
People didn't expect such a thoughtful and vulnerable performance from Jim Carrey as a massage and society. But luckily he was praised for it and made him win his first major award, the Golden Globe for Best Actor.
This is serious. It's going to be so hard to talk out of my ass for this. I'd like to thank my family, my mother and father, and the Academy. No, I mean, I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else. And,
Despite the difference